Good morning, everyone. My name is Marilyn Valinga. Until last week, I was the mayor's chief of staff, and today I'm honored to be your MC. I want to kick off by thanking you for making this time in your busy schedules to attend Mayor Steinberg's final State of the City address. Darrell loves and appreciates you all and wants you to sit down. Now I would like to welcome Chairman Jesus Tarango of Wilton Rancheria to the stage, who will provide a land acknowledgement. Please stand if you are able.
Kuchi Kalupa, Kanyo Yaset Jesus Tarango. And it's truly a pleasure to be here with you all this morning for this beautiful event where we gather to celebrate our community and the values that bind us together. It is an honor to share our land acknowledgement here with you today, recognizing the rich history and heritage of the indigenous peoples who have cared for this land since time immemorial. But before I dive into the heart of this message, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mayor Steinberg. Your incredible vision and steadfast leadership during your tenure as mayor has truly been remarkable. You have not only guided this city with integrity, but have also fostered a spirit of collaboration that has inspired many. On behalf of the citizens of Wilton Rancheria, I would like to commend you for being such an outstanding partner. Your commitment to bridging gaps between communities is commendable. Mayor, you have set a tremendous example of what can be achieved when leadership unites all levels of government, federal, tribal, state, and local, to work toward a common goal. This collaborative approach not only uplifts our individual communities, but also enhances the lives of all. Together, we can create a brighter future, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to thrive and lead fulfilling lives. Thank you for your dedication and unwavering support. It is now my honor to share Wilton Rancheria's land acknowledgement. Since the beginning of time as we know it, our ancestors have occupied the lower Sacramento River watershed, including the Sacramento and San Joaquin Delta. It is this land, the land that you stand on today, that the ancestors of the original people of this land, the Nisenan, the Southern Maidu, the Valley, the Plains Miwok, Patwin, and Wintu people once flourished. With an opulent amount of natural resources and the sky filled with our winged relatives and water filled with salmon and abundance of other aquatic life, gratitude is given to those who came before us. We recognize the treatment through colonialism and attempted genocide of our forebears. It was their persistence, tenacity, and resilience that the descendants of those first people that inhabited this land are still here today thriving. On behalf of Wilton Rancheria, the only federally recognized tribe in Sacramento County, I welcome you. We ask that you acknowledge and you respect our culture, our people, and all of our lifeways. We will continue to work together for the recognition and the betterment of the well-being of our communities and all generations, past, present, and future. Tangi Como, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you to the students from the Language Academy of Sacramento who just led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, please welcome Claire Drummond to the stage. Claire serves as the Vice President and Market Executive for Wexford's first development in California, Aggie Square. She joined the project in 2020 and is responsible for its overall success. She holds a master's degree in global affairs from the University of Toronto, focusing on building innovation districts, and her life's work is serving entrepreneurs and scaling economic growth. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you, Marilyn. Happy to have you back. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to Aggie Square. For many of you, welcome back for your 4th, 5th, and 6th time that you have been here. We are so excited to have you. Aggie Square is a first-of-its-kind knowledge community, merging 3 powerhouses in one thriving ecosystem, taking the research of one of the world's top-producing universities and putting them on the exact same floor with private industry, with private financing and speed to market, all supported by a governing body that oversees the capital of the 5th largest global economy. Aggie Square enables progress, from continued education for lifelong learners in our classroom spaces and assembly spaces, to innovative solutions that will seamlessly flow from the benches directly behind me upstairs to the patient's bedside up the street. Wexford co-created this space with our university partner to be indoor and outdoor porous, to be inclusive with programming, to actively invite the greater community into the development. We create these points of serendipitous collision to spur thoughtful dialogue and answer today's global problems. We like to say we create serendipity through design. The project will officially open doors at the end of January 2025. We have the, thank you. We have the privilege of having Mayor Steinberg and his team as crucial partners to Aggie Square's vision from the beginning. Darrell has been an advocate, a thought partner, and a friend for this project's success. Across our portfolio, I can say with confidence, Mayor has been one of the most active political figures we have ever experienced. It is fitting that we all come together again here for the Mayor's final State of the City. I live in a professional world of industry titans. Aggie Square would not be the site that we currently sit on without the doers in this project, the countless architects and engineers who gave life to this beautiful vision, our general contractor, Wedding Turner, who is not only under budget and on schedule, such a rarity for construction, but who also works tirelessly to ensure that the construction is inclusive and empowers local workforce. Doers enable this beautiful site that we get to enjoy this morning. That being said, action like this required patience, vision, and partnership. It required dreamers. The 3 incredible visionaries in front of me dreamt of this space long before architects, engineers, and developers arrived. Dreamers will be here long after we finish our thousands of lines of punch list as well. None of this would be possible without Sacramento's active community management and teams, without Chancellor May, and without Mayor Steinberg. They worked with Wexford to co-create our most robust community benefit plan to date. They get involved in our leasing conversations. They push us to achieve better outcomes on this project. To our dreamers and to our doers, thank you all.
Thank you, Claire. Before we move on, I need to point out there's a lot of seats available over here. I see a lot of you are standing. You may want to, but if you want to sit down, there are a lot of chairs over here on my right. Now, please welcome to the stage Roshaun Davis, co-founder of Unseen Heroes and founder and executive director of CLTRE. Roshaun is an entrepreneur, community developer, and cultural strategist. He partners with community-centric organizations that range from early-stage entrepreneurs, corporate companies, and governmental agencies. Roshaun's rare talent for community development, strategic focus, and program implementation bridges the gap between the built environment and the community that lives within it. Welcome, Roshaun.
Usually when I get up on the mic, I don't read, but because I want to get this right for you, Darrell, I'm going to read it. For those of you that don't know me, good. That means I've been doing my job, right? My name is Roshaun Davis. I co-founded a company called Unseen Heroes 16 years ago as an undergrad at Sac State. Over the last decade or so, Unseen Heroes has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that art, culture, and creativity are developed here in Sacramento. We've helped over 400 local companies get their start in the creative economy. We've helped them get connected to the community and the resources that they need to help them succeed. We've launched national campaigns. We've created impactful concepts and markets that have helped shape neighborhoods all across the region. But most importantly, we're responsible for putting an estimated $33 million into the hands of locals in this city. Now, most people would call that a success. See, everybody just clapped, right? But what we understand is success doesn't come without challenges. It doesn't come without failure, and it comes with knockdowns. And in storytelling, they call that the hero's journey. And that's the journey that Mayor Steinberg has been on, his team has been on, we've all been on as a city for the past 8 years under his leadership. There have been very high highs, and there have been very low lows. I like to think that as a city, that's what makes us special, because we embrace both. We take it as this natural thing to fight for Sacramento. Even at times, it means that we fight with each other for the right part of Sacramento, because at the end of the day, we love Sacramento. Today, I stand here because of that love. I also stand here as a community developer and the executive director of CLTRE. CLTRE is a community development corporation that was formed during the pandemic with a partnership between Unseen Heroes and Soul Collective. The mission of CLTRE is to shift the cultural landscape in Sacramento by the year 2040, along with the general plan. And with CLTRE, we've been able to do some very big things in the last 3 years. We've created public-private partnerships to pilot and solidify programs like Culture Club with CADA, and our first-time homebuyer program with the City of Sacramento and UC Davis Aggie Square, which to date has put 4 families in homes in the surrounding neighborhoods around here, which equates to about $1.6 million in local ownership in Sacramento. And by the time that program, everybody goes through that program, that'll be $10 million in home ownership in Sacramento. We recently partnered with the Sacramento Regional Community Foundation to create the first-time homebuyer fund in Sacramento. And that was because of the Aggie Square Community of Benefits Agreement. And US Bank just put $500,000 into that fund for first-time homebuyers to continue that program pilot. And then lastly, we're working on what we call the D2 Thrives initiative, which is a coalition that includes over 35 community-minded organizations that have agreed to come together to collectively address the lack of investment and historical disadvantages that have kept North Sacramento from reaching its full potential. Some people would call that inclusive economic development. Some people would call that place ambitious. I get that a lot. But for those of you that truly love Sacramento, you'll understand that we just call that we work together collectively to reach a larger impact. This is our culture here. And that culture is full of art, music, dance, creativity, science, technology, engineering, math, and most of all, the ability to affect change when we all work together. So I want you guys to do me a favor, raise your hand. Everybody, come on, raise your hand. I'm an MC at heart, so I can get everybody in here to raise their hand. And I want you to repeat after me after I say it. I want you to say, I am Sacramento, okay? One more time and say it loud. I am Sacramento. That's what's up. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to welcome to the stage UC Davis Chancellor Gary May. Chancellor May is a leader dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion with a passion for helping others to succeed. He has developed nationally recognized programs that attract, mentor, and retain underrepresented groups in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and math, earning him the Presidential Award for Excellence in STEM Mentoring in 2015. Chancellor May holds a master's and a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science from UC Berkeley. As UC Davis's 7th chancellor, his vision is to lead the university to new heights in academic excellence, inclusion, public service, and upward mobility for students from all backgrounds. Welcome, Chancellor May.
Thank you so much, and welcome to Aggie Square. It's just a wonderful time to be here among so many friends and colleagues and community members, and building community, igniting innovation, and supporting neighborhoods are really what Aggie Square is all about. Those are our values that we've held from the beginning, and Mayor Darrell Steinberg has shared these values since my first day at UC Davis. In fact, he was with us even before my first day at UC Davis. A few months before I started my role as Chancellor, I hosted Mayor Steinberg and a Sacramento delegation at what is called Technology Square in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was eager to show the delegation at Technology Square how it evolved and how Sacramento could do something better. I wanted to show that Sacramento was primed to take an innovation hub like that to the next level. And now, here we are 7 years later, and you just look around and you'll see what cooperation and partnership are capable of building. Together at Aggie Square, we will bring innovation to light, become a catalyst for economic change, create jobs, enrich lifelong learning, and bring opportunities to surrounding communities for generations to come. The amount of teamwork on a project like this is nothing short of phenomenal. I'm thankful to the Sacramento community for its thoughtful voices and its input. I'm thankful to the team at Wexford Science and Technology for their impeccable management of this project, along with the local construction workforce for their invaluable labor. I'm also grateful to many elected officials for their support of Aggie Square, including Congresswoman Doris Matsui, Assemblyman Kevin McCarty, and others. So many members of the Sacramento City Council, both past and present, are integral to the success of Aggie Square as well. So I'd like to recognize Katie Maple and Eric Guerra, the council members who represent the areas around this neighborhood. I think they're both here. Go Ags. Sorry, Eric. I'd also like to acknowledge the council members who are no longer in office, but were with us every step of the way. Jay Chenier, Jeff Harris, Steve Hansen, and Angelique Ashby, now state senator. And I know at least one of those people is here. But from the earliest days of Aggie Square, including the moment of the first shovel hit dirt, it was Mayor Steinberg who established himself as a consensus builder. He has a gift for bringing people together to work out the details related to labor, community partnership, and much more. Mayor Steinberg touched every segment that needed to be touched. He saw the opportunity that Aggie Square held for the region, took leadership for it, and here we are today. Today, this was an idea that together has come out of the ground. I can't wait for him to join us when Aggie Square officially opens in the spring. Before we continue, I'd like to wish Mayor Steinberg the best as he enters this next chapter of his career. I thank him for being a great friend, not just to me personally, but to the people of Sacramento and California as a whole. On that note, I now have the honor of introducing the 56th Mayor of Sacramento and bringing him to the podium. Mayor Darrell Steinberg has served the people of Sacramento for more than a quarter century. As a young father, he served on the Sacramento City Council, focusing on keeping neighborhoods safe, creating good jobs, and providing quality after-school programs. He was elected mayor of Sacramento in 2016, guiding the city through an unprecedented pandemic and a long overdue reckoning around race and equity. As leader of California's big city mayors, Mayor Steinberg successfully negotiated with both Governor Jerry Brown and Governor Gavin Newsom to make an unprecedented statewide commitment to addressing homelessness, a commitment that brought millions of dollars of additional funding home to Sacramento. Mayor Steinberg is a graduate of UCLA, and he earned his law degree at UC Davis. We are proud to call him an Aggie alum, and we thank him for his decades of public service. Please welcome Mayor Darrell Steinberg.
Go Aggies. And go Hornets. And go community colleges. It's always dangerous to start listing these things out, you know. Good morning, everyone. Chancellor May, I'm going to speak more about you in a moment, but thank you for your very gracious introduction. Chairman Tarango, thank you for your heart. Thank you for leading sovereign nation. And thank you for all you are doing and are going to do with and for the people of Sacramento. We appreciate you. Roshaun, thank you for embodying the heart and soul of this city. Your words, you could have given the state of the city here today. Maybe we should leave it at that because it was that good. And Claire Drummond, thank you. And all the good and great people at Wexford who believe in our city and for all you are doing here. I have so many thank yous, and I know I will leave people out, but please excuse me. I'll do the best I can, for I know that no one achieves anything in life and in politics alone. I owe so much thanks and gratitude to so many people, the people I have served with, my council member colleagues, past, and I'm glad, Gary, that you mentioned some of the colleagues that were so instrumental in Aggie Square. They deserve the credit, and today I'm privileged to serve with a new cohort of elected officials who truly do represent the present and future of Sacramento, and I want to recognize them. Councilmember Lisa Kaplan, thank you, representing District 1. Sean Tao, representing District 2, only for a short time, but you'll see more of this young man. Mayor Pro Tem Karina Talamantes from District 3. Councilmember Katie Valenzuela. Councilmember and Vice Mayor representing Aggie Square here, Katie Maple. Councilmember Eric Guetta, who's fought along with Katie and Jay for the future of Stockton Boulevard. Coach, our conscience Councilmember Rick Jennings. Where are you, Rick? Good golfer too, by the way. Councilmember Mai Vang is Mai here. Thank you. Love you all. I want to say a word about City Manager Howard Chan, all of our charter officers, but really on behalf of the entire city staff and team. We have an incredible group of public servants led by Howard Chan, who every day deliver for this city. Every day. They aren't the ones that get up and give the big speeches, but they are the ones who make sure that the people are safe and that we're doing everything we do on behalf of our city to make sure people have the quality of life that they deserve. Howard, for you and on behalf of everyone, thank you, sir. Thank you. I know we have a lot of other local electeds here, and I appreciate you being here. I want to just recognize our state senator, Angelique Ashby, who served so well and so passionately on the city council, now in the state senate. Senator Roger Nilo, I see here. Where's Roger? Who, when I write my book someday, story will be told about how Roger Nilo helped save the state of California in 2009, and that's actually a true story. Assemblymember Kevin McCarty, I'm going to mention again in a minute. Welcome to you, Kevin. Thank you. I want to recognize the Stockton Boulevard Partnership, Frank and Elgin and your board, because this is a lot about you too. All the business and community leaders, my staff who have been with me for so long, past and present. I can't call you all out by name, but I love you all and I'm grateful to all of you for what you have done to help me do my job. Thank you. The amazing crew and partners who made today possible, Eddie Emerson and Dan Weitzman and Amber Winnell, Sean Cooper, Claire, Mabel Salon, Samiko Hong, Mary Marper, Keith Wackford, Neil Tanner, on and on. All of you helped bring this event together because none of this is easy. All my friends watching on the live stream and whoever is watching this room, and maybe most importantly, my family who's here today. My wife, Julie, of 33 years, who's put up, let's just say has put up with a few things. Married to someone in public life for that long. My son, Ari. my daughter-in-law to be next month, Cassidy, and Cassidy's moms, Chris and Diane. Love you all, and so glad you are here. Thank you to all my supporters, and thank you to all of my critics for always pushing me to be my best. I want to say a special welcome to both Assemblymember McCarty and to Dr. Kofer. For next year, for one of you, this will be your stage. I will be both out of your way and available to do anything you ask to help you when it is your turn. We are gathering at a spot that represents the art of the possible, in large part because the former Dean of Engineering at Georgia Tech decided to come west to UC Davis. Chancellor Gary May took one look at Sacramento, saw its aspirations, its energy, and decided it was time to stop just talking about bringing this powerhouse research institution across the river and to actually make it happen. Gary told the story, but it's true. Barry Broom and a number of business leaders and I traveled to Atlanta before Chancellor May even came out, and I immediately knew that this humble, strong man was the real deal. He talked then about a vision to combine the power of the university, the city, the region, labor and business to create a center of economic energy, research, and community. You and the university have followed through, and our city is immensely grateful. Thank you, Gary. We also have the privilege of gathering here because Chancellor May chose Wexford Science and Technology, the nation's leading curator of innovation districts created in partnership with universities and cities. Wexford has done this and similar projects in a dozen cities around the country. Chancellor May, your decision to choose such a proven leader demonstrated to me and to our city that this was not just some concept for UC Davis, but a signature priority for the university. Thank you, Wexford. And maybe as or more importantly, we are here because the community stepped up and insisted that Aggie Square have real and meaningful benefits for the people and neighborhoods that surround this vision. And so a big round of applause for everyone who brings us to Aggie Square here today. Welcome to everyone. This is my last state of the city after 8 years representing our city as your mayor and 30 years of public office. I will not let up until the 10th of December. Over the next 82 days, we are working tirelessly on some major initiatives, some major downtown initiatives that if they happen, don't want to jinx it, will come close to rivaling Aggie Square. I'm going to leave that little teaser out there dangling today. So stay tuned. For this morning, I want to take the opportunity to talk about the state of the city in 2024, what we have done and experienced together over these last historic 8 years. Call it the arc of change in extraordinary times. I never thought the job of mayor would be easy, but I guess I never expected that anything could be tougher than being Senate leader during the worst recession in 50 years. For not the first time in my life, I turned out to be wrong. An old legislative veteran who I greatly respected reminded me once about leadership when I complained how hard it was to lead a Senate faced with such unpleasant choices. Cut things you care about deeply, raise everyone's taxes, or face bankruptcy. Hey, Darrell, he said, you do not get to pick your time. Your time picks you. Well, the time has once again picked all of us. The crises we have faced since 2016 have been different from the Great Recession, but no less harrowing. As a nation, we have weathered the pandemic, a rightful racial reckoning, and a vexing housing and homelessness crisis. But here in Sacramento, we have never stopped getting things done, big and small. We kept the city together through unimaginable stresses, and we prepared the city to advance even farther than the excitement and the momentum we all felt before that fateful week in March 2020, when our world suddenly shut down. The state of our Sacramento is strong and will continue to be strong no matter the crises. Crime is down citywide by 13.6%. This is on top of last year's record reduction of 18%. Larceny down 6.4%, burglaries decreased 22%, and vehicle theft down an impressive 25%. I want to thank our police department, our fire department, and our first responders for working hard every day to make this city safer. Our 2024 unemployment rate is lower than our historic average and well below the COVID height in 2021. And yet, a state of the city is about so much more than crime statistics and unemployment rates. It's about its spirit, its history, its people, its ambitions, and the way it views the least among us. Good times or bad, smooth times or rocky times, whoever picks us for any era, there are some timeless lessons that in my last year and in maybe my last big speech, I want to take the opportunity to share with you. Lesson number one: if we aren't willing to risk a few losses and some real pain along the way, we will always settle for less than what the people we represent deserve. Now, I have won a few prestigious awards in my public life, and then there is the honor of getting lampooned by a political cartoonist. My favorite hangs on my office wall at City Hall. It was the late Sacramento Bee cartoonist Rex Babin who depicted me as the knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, who insists he wants to keep on sword fighting even though he has been reduced to a legless, armless torso flailing on the ground. You've seen the movie. It's just a flesh wound, he insists. Rex was parroting a bill that I authored 24 years ago as an assembly member to make cities and counties share sales tax revenue instead of the repetitive fighting with each other over who could land the next auto mall or big box store and get more money at the expense of their neighbors. Well, despite working my tail off, I lost the bill big time. The cartoon is a bit of an exaggeration, but I do think my wanted poster was displayed in every suburban post office in California because they thought I was trying to steal their hard-earned tax revenues. 7 years later, I tried again as a state senator, but this time with a different approach. In 2008, we passed the landmark SB 375 based on the pioneering blueprint led by our own Council of Governments, SACOG. Instead of making cities and counties share the sales tax, it offered them the incentive of more transportation and housing money if they worked together to reduce sprawl and build more infill housing. I then followed it up with a big funding program generating billions of dollars for affordable housing built near transit, including millions of dollars for Sacramento. A big loss one year ultimately led to an even bigger win several years later. Without the first big failure, a full defeat, and taking on heavy criticism, there never would have been an ultimate breakthrough with an even better result. I have always had one way of doing politics and governing, sometimes with great results and sometimes at my peril. As a young legislator, I vowed to fix the broken mental health system. A quarter century later, The system is obviously far from fixed. But that promise resulted in a 2004 tax on millionaires, and it has produced $31 billion and counting for new funding for mental health care, helping hundreds of thousands of people along the way. I have always known that if we are lucky enough to get elected to these big positions, our power is always temporary. In the end, what really matters, in fact, the only thing that matters, are the actual things we accomplish for other people. The greatest risk of all in politics is leaving office having achieved little because the years flew by and we chose to avoid the causes that were uncomfortable, that generated controversy, or simply seemed too daunting. So it was one thing to apply my high wire philosophy in the California legislature. It was quite something else to do so at the local level. As mayor, I know I was directly and am directly accountable to an entire city whose residents are hungry for more, but whose government, frankly, has a much smaller budget and has always defined its roles and responsibilities in a very traditional way. Politics is a tough business, maybe even more so in this crazy era. And I've learned that part of my job as mayor, even with its limited authority, is to listen and absorb, and at times even to honor the anger and frustration of people who want more and faster progress. And I haven't always liked that part of it. But play it safe and take less incoming anger, or put your all into a big goal and see how far you can get, knowing that if you don't stretch, you will not get nearly far enough. I only know one way. So I took the dominating issue of our time, unsheltered homelessness, and campaigned to make a difference. I never promised to solve homelessness, but I know that I gave that impression. And putting it out there so assertively and not fully appreciating the obstacles and sometimes the slower pace of implementation at the local government level made me at times a lightning rod and target for not actually having solved the problem overnight or even in 8 years. Was it a mistake to set such high expectations and invest so much effort and emotion on this issue? History and others will judge, but I am sure of two things. There was, in fact, peril, and there was no real alternative other than to address homelessness head on. The peril came from all sides. Frustration from the business community, from the neighborhoods who wanted the problem gone, and equal frustration from activists who believe that until we have enough housing for everyone, we should not intervene in the unsafe and unhealthy conditions on our streets. I tried everything from an idealistic legal right to housing to a comprehensive siting plan. And yes, we hit many walls along the way. And yet, look at what we have done together. While unsheltered homelessness increased statewide, we scratched and clawed and fought to do more than our city has ever done and achieved a 41% reduction in unsheltered homelessness in the city and county of Sacramento. I say it again, while homelessness rose statewide, we saw a 41% reduction, not solved, but progress. 1,300 more beds than when we started, largely because our city worked together and we led the big city mayors to insist that the state directly allocate homeless dollars to cities. And a whole new city department organized to intervene in encampments and help as many people as possible. In 2016, I promised to get 2,000 people off the streets. Today, we have helped city and county-wide 25,000 people go from unsheltered to housed since 2017. We have thousands more affordable housing units and are the most progressive city in the country to remove limitations on the number of units built in a single-family neighborhood, and eliminated exclusionary zoning, allowing the building of quality duplexes, quadruplexes, and other innovative housing types. More affordable home ownership choices for young people in our city who could not now envision the possibility of ever owning a home. We're changing that, Ari and Cassidy. Problem solved? Far from it. Perfect in implementation and follow through? Hardly. But think about how many people have been helped. Think about how much worse it could have been if we had not said, yes, we can, yes, we must, not been afraid to fail, and insisted that the city lean in hard to move towards solutions for housing and homelessness if we had just been fine with business as usual. I came back to this city after years of state leadership to do more than just hold the gavel. I had already held enough good titles. I ran because I saw a changing city whose residents were eager for more growth, more employment beyond government, more sports, more music, more art, more vitality. This generation and future generations of young people who leave Sacramento for college and those who stay close at UC Davis or Sac State, they are going to have choices. Is Sacramento going to be their choice? The answer lies in our hands. As mayor, I have never been more passionate about economic development and growth. From the very beginning, I have insisted that the city must find the resources to prioritize investing directly in Sacramento, in growing Sacramento in all ways, with a special emphasis on uplifting traditionally disadvantaged neighborhoods and our forgotten commercial corridors. Yes, in the midst of hard times, we put more money into the creative economy than any other city in the country. Thank you, Denny. We funded one-time multi-million-dollar initiatives in underserved neighborhoods from north to south. We made more direct investments in youth and workforce training and affordable housing. And we kept hundreds of small businesses up and running and restaurants afloat during COVID, while also feeding hundreds of isolated seniors. We are here today at Aggie Square because the future of this city lies in our neighborhoods. A good capital city grows and diversifies its economic base, starting with its downtown. But a great capital city goes further and makes sure that no neighborhood is left behind, especially those cast aside by once discriminatory and now just traditional ways of doing things. I wasn't born here, but it has been my home for now 2/3 of my life. In fact, it was 40 years ago this week that I moved to Sacramento to take my first law job. Really, little apartment in Natomas. Yeah, South Natomas, exactly. But then I bought my first home not far from here in Tahoe Park. Julie and I started our family in that house. And that's where I first got involved, starting the Tahoe Park Neighborhood Association. And then, as a young mustachioed city council member with an almost full head of curly hair. Oh, I wish for those days. We lived in Tahoe Park, but it was my experience representing Stockton Boulevard and the southeast neighborhoods of Avondale and Glen Elder that had the most searing impact on my young political conscience. For once proud integrated neighborhoods, disinvestment and redlining led to segregation, blight, and gangs. Today, we stand very close to the center of Little Saigon, built by proud refugees who risked everything to become small business owners in their new country. I am proud of this city for so much, but nothing makes me prouder than the way we welcome and embrace immigrants and refugees, create safe havens and legal protections for those who are scared and vulnerable, especially against the backdrop of so much hate and xenophobia in too many parts of our nation. Whenever I speak at a mural unveiling, I never get tired of shouting, "In Sacramento, we paint walls to bring people in. We will never build walls to keep people out." Advocating as a younger leader for these economically distressed parts of town taught me my second lifelong lesson about politics and public service. Always protect the health and safety of every neighborhood and every person you are privileged to represent, but train your highest energies and attention on the people and places that have been left out and left behind. For they too deserve a good, healthy life, just like those in wealthier neighborhoods where safety, cool shaded streets, play areas for children, and opportunities for education and economic advancement sometimes can be taken for granted. And so again, I choose to deliver my last State of the City speech here at Aggie Square because it represents everything, Chancellor May, I believe a city should aspire to. This is not just another project. It will produce $5 billion once it's built out annually for the 6-county region and new ongoing economic investment. This project and the broader vision for Stockton Boulevard is the city's most ambitious effort to uplift a part of our city that matters and hasn't gotten nearly enough resources and attention. And a project of this magnitude does not happen by accident. It requires a willingness for many to take a few flesh wounds in pursuit of generational change. Why is Aggie Square so unique and important? Well, it's not every day or every decade that a city scores a multi-billion-dollar investment, the promise of 5,000 plus jobs, leading efforts for research and life sciences, universities coming across the river and locating itself in the heart of 3 historic neighborhoods, the capital to incubate new clean industries, to launch new startups and provide a place for community members to gather and take advantage of a whole new center of energy and opportunity. And it's not every day that a project comes with $50 million for affordable housing, including $10 million directly for the people living in the community, to pay for home repairs, to help with the rent, or to realize, as Roshaun said, the dream of being able to buy a home in their neighborhood. And it is not every day that a big project has an actual legal requirement that 25% of the high-wage jobs created over time are guaranteed for people who actually live in the surrounding neighborhoods. What else makes Aggie Square truly aspirational? Well, for me, it defies the current political belief that you can't possibly make progress with people and organizations that you might disagree with. This is a hard time to be rah-rah about principled compromises. We experience the difficulties of civil dialogue and compromise most Tuesday nights at City Hall. UC Davis and the universities throughout the country experience the same in 2024 as international tensions came to campus. Division, distrust, and dysfunction are far too often the norm in our civic and political lives. I've always believed that civility is not a weakness. We can be tough on the issues and easier on the people who see it differently. Here, yeah, that's worth a clap, by the way. I just had one of those applause. Here at Aggie Square, real conflict did not end with dysfunction. It ended with victory. And that leads to lesson number 3. Principled conflict is healthy and necessary for real progress. If it's too easy, it's probably not that important. Easy agreements too often result in stagnation, or at best, less than significant progress. We don't have to agree with one another or even like one another to accomplish something great together. And by the way, I like all of you. If there was an algorithm that could predict the success of Aggie Square based on the pre-existing relationships between the parties to the ultimate agreement, the algorithm might instruct us all to leave these premises at once. For the neighborhoods in UC Davis have had a long history of good work, but sometimes less than complete trust. The Service Workers Union at UC Davis and other UC campuses have had years of contract, legislative, and ballot fights with the university. Sacramento Investment Without Displacement, the community coalition, was formed to challenge the idea that without specific community benefits, the negative consequences of displacement would outweigh all of the new growth. And of course, there were the lawsuits that threatened to halt Aggie Square before it even started. But there was something going on that was so much more important than the positioning and the lawsuits. Everyone in their own way wanted Aggie Square to happen. There was way too much upside for business, for workers, for the city and the community to ever let this fail. And so my colleagues and I helped lead negotiations that resolved two lawsuits and created a landmark community benefits agreement, which guaranteed the housing and local hiring promises. And yes, the city agreed to kick in $30 million to pay for project infrastructure and contribute to the Affordable Housing Fund. So even if the negotiations and settlements didn't exactly create a trust circle, it bound all the parties together around a set of common agreements and an incredible future together. Look where we're standing. A $30 million investment from the city for Aggie Square was, I think, a no-brainer. But the city's willingness to step up for its neighborhoods and commercial corridors is not just about the big projects. It also represents the truest test whether we as a city are serious about racial and economic equity. For every struggling neighborhood and commercial corridor deserves the dream of a project or vision that will fundamentally change the trajectory of their neighborhood forever. But for many people who are struggling, these kinds of dreams are secondary to everyday worries like surviving the endless summer heat or simply being able to walk safely across their streets. Long before we were internationally recognized as the farm to fork capital, we were known as the city of trees, still are. I guess it depends, that's good, but I also guess it depends on where you live. Because in neighborhoods like Land Park and East Sacramento, more than 35% of the surface area is covered by trees. Fruit Ridge Manor, less than 16%. West El Paso Heights, 19%. Drive south of here on Stockton Boulevard on a hot day, and you'll find a lot less shade than you would find just north of here in Elmhurst, in North Oak Park, or in Curtis Park. And so, again, we've got a great city team, a great city team. And our city Arbor team spends $8 million annually on its trees, and the vast majority by direction of the city council. for repair and maintenance. The bulk of the money goes to the already affluent areas because you guessed it, that's where the trees are. And in my view, it's not right. Our kids, our elderly, the businesses in North and South Sacramento deserve to enjoy the same leafy tree canopy as everyone else. They need and deserve needed refuge from the unrelenting summer heat. The trees story is one story, but it's so often the little things in our neighborhoods that speak volumes. And there are many indignities that are often left out and forgotten neighbors must bear. And some are life and death. My colleagues have raised the issue of traffic safety as a community crisis and emergency. And they are right on. It's a money problem, and only we can do something about that. Too many Sacramentans are dying and seriously injured in bike and pedestrian accidents. Every community has been affected, from Natomas to Land Park. The highest rates of death and serious injury occur, unsurprisingly, in the city's disadvantaged communities, including Marysville Boulevard, in Del Paso Heights, Broadway, Stockton, in Oak Park, Florin Road, in Cabrillo Park, and Mack Road in South Sacramento. You, my colleagues, have all spoken out on behalf of your communities that we must find the resources, we must find a way to end these tragedies. So even as we celebrate Aggie Square, and today is a celebration, we have little or no funding for bike, transit, and pedestrian safety. We have good housing developers willing to build more workforce housing on the Stockton Boulevard corridor, but no local funds for the roadway improvements essential for the projects to work. And of course, the same story can be told in so many other places, north and south in our city. And so today, I renew the call for a county-wide ballot measure as soon as politically possible to provide billions for affordable housing, safe streets, and public transportation. Yes. And wherever I am, I'm going to help you out. The big roadway extensions from the prior failed measures were not supported by the public. Making sure everyone can afford a decent and affordable place to live and to walk and bike safely in their neighborhoods, that's a proposition that at the right time is worth taking to the voters, and it will win. And a countywide ballot measure is only the beginning. In my view, and I've been consistent on this for 8 years, the city can no longer afford to ignore the economic potential and public health and safety pleas of its neighborhoods. Yes, we have a budget deficit. And I know what some will say, that we can't possibly add more responsibility or strain to our already stretched financial situation. And I say, as I've said for 8 years, we need to think differently. In West Sacramento, in over 40% of the entire city, every time the property tax revenue increases because of a new project, a portion of that growth goes right back into a citywide economic development and infrastructure fund to help with the next project. We have used the same tool only sparingly in Sacramento, including at Aggie Square, with a few projects, but not on a citywide scale. The mayor and city council have the power to change that. And I've heard the argument against this idea for all of my 8 years, and it goes like this. We have too many obligations to fund public safety and other vital city services. And our traditional way of thinking is a classic definition of a self-defeating spiral. We can't grow our budgets for public safety and other vital services unless our tax base and our revenues grow. We can't afford to invest, though, in more tax-paying industries and businesses because our budget is too tight. We therefore can't increase the basic services because we are not growing our tax base and revenues fast enough. In this city, one of the things I love is that we often find workarounds because of the skill and creativity not only of our elected officials, but our city team, again, we find workarounds when we say it matters. But I say, why do the good things in our city so often require a workaround? Why do we so rarely have the local match to aggressively expand our tree canopy, to fix our roads, to invest in more job-creating industries and companies, or provide the needed loans for more workforce housing along our commercial corridor? I was gone 18 years between leaving the council in 1998 and becoming a mayor in 2016. It was already a different city by the time I got sworn in. Much of that changed for the better. I came in as mayor just a couple of years after the city council voted for a major public investment to save the Kings and build the Golden One Center. I was a big supporter and authored the bill to make sure that those Seattle instigators couldn't stop the project and steal our team. After I became mayor in 2017, we unanimously funded the major expansions of our convention center and community center theater, anchoring the downtown's eastern end. I ask this: where is the same drive and commitment for our forgotten neighborhoods and commercial corridors? In 2018, I asked the council and then the voters to approve a full cent Measure U as the original half cent was about to expire. And the voters said yes. The yes vote raised roughly an additional $70 million on that second half cent a year, and in the end, saved the city from what would have been an unsolvable budget crisis. And yet, I intended most of the $70 million to be set aside for neighborhood-based economic development. And this is not right or wrong, but just the debate in our city. Some viewed Measure U as more money for the city enterprise and city services. Many of our powerful business and labor interests in the city had their own projects and priorities, but few embraced the big idea that the city should always have a permanent source of revenue to invest in infrastructure and economic development in all parts of our city. Once again, we fought tooth and nail to direct more resources to the neighborhoods, the commercial corridors, the arts, small business, and youth, both from Measure U and our $200 million of one-time COVID relief dollars. The residents, especially young people, fought alongside us, passing Measure L in 2022, a multi-million-dollar set aside for youth investments for both more city programs and for our community-based organizations, because we need to bolster both of them. And I was very proud to support it. The question I raised 8 years ago remains just as relevant today as the city transitions to new leadership. What are the fundamental priorities of a modern, growing city? To just provide the basic services and traditional public safety, or to insist on the financial and organizational capacity to partner and invest with the private sector, with the nonprofits and the neighborhoods to grow our city? I think there can only be one answer. And in our traditional form of government, a mayor can articulate a vision, command a council majority, find the resources at the ballot box or the state capitol, and work with a great city manager and great partner and make great progress. But there is still a wide gap between a mayor's accountability to the people and the actual authority to implement the direction that he or she promised. If we really want an ongoing and permanent commitment to inclusive economic growth, the future mayor and council need help, a civic and political community that also evolves with the changing city. For despite all of our significant accomplishments, our civic leaders who do great things and build great projects sometimes act like it's every person for themselves. A project entitlement is important, but it's not the only objective of economic development. Collective action will take us further. We spend a lot of time, energy, and resources being for or against a project or initiative instead of the coalition and community building that would extend more opportunity to every corner of our city, like we all did here at Aggie Square. Oh my. There is so much good happening in Sacramento. We're building these new vibrant centers of economic growth, a great food and restaurant scene, tourism, music, art, culture, healthcare, the life sciences, and biotech. These big changes require the forging of new relationships and stepping outside of our comfortable corners. Like we all did at Aggie Square, find those genuine intersections between the activists, between the neighborhoods and business, between the business and labor, and the city will thrive. It is almost time to not only end my speech, but to pass the torch. I have done my best, and I have put my head and my heart into trying to change this city and the arc of our city in extraordinary times. And the progress so speaks for itself. The La Familia Opportunity Center, Rachel, which we celebrated last week. The dream of a regional youth sports facility at the 102 acres south of Meadowview. A renewed vision for Del Paso Boulevard. The dream for Northgate Boulevard to become the vibrant and diverse cultural hub for locals and tourists alike. A food scene where people come for tacos, burritos, pupusas, and beautiful art and more. A city of festivals, drawing crowds of hundreds of thousands, renewed energy in the creative economy like never before. So much more, all while reducing crime, getting more people housed, and treating our 5,000 plus city workers with recognition and respect. It has not been perfect, but the city is more than standing after a pandemic and all of these most difficult years. And even my own flesh wounds are beginning to heal. My fervent hope is that our city does not retrench, that we continue to be bold, that we continue to try, that we never be afraid to fail, that we commit unequivocally to racial and economic equity, that we create real long-term funding solutions for our streets, for public transportation, and for affordable housing, that we bring to life every corner of our city so they become destinations for the people of our city and beyond, that we never settle for another generation of wouldn't it be great if we could just, if we and I have not finished the task of solving all the complex challenges before us, I hope these years have gotten us closer to achieving them. Sometimes a leader's job is to redefine the problems, to discern the better questions that need to be answered before we can actually solve all of the riddles. Sacramento is on the national stage. Money Magazine said we are one of the top cities to live in the country because we are built around thoughtful policy, civic engagement, and community, making us the blueprint for the future. In 2023, Money Magazine named Sacramento the best place to live in California. Other national observers have listed us as one of the top 3 foodie scenes in the country. Midtown Farmers Market was recently voted the #1 farmers market in California and now ranks 3rd in the nation. And the accolades for this city will keep coming. From wherever I sit in the years ahead, I cannot wait to see where this city goes, how the state and the nation will continue to showcase us, how many more people will move here, what kind of accomplishments and innovations like what we celebrate here at Aggie Square will find itself in every corner of this city. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! Good. Let's have a party.
Isn't he the best? Isn't he inspiring? I just love the man. You gotta love the man. Doesn't do a quick, not a quick speech, but thank you very much for all being so attentive. I thought it was pretty compelling and certainly very heartfelt. Thank you very much for attending the 2024 State of the City address. We want to make sure to give additional thank yous to the artists who performed today, the Lab Rats, Bigger Than Us Arts, and to Ember DeBoer, the artist who created the zine program for this event. And if you didn't get one of those, please make sure you grab one, like from the table. I don't know if they were on the chairs, but it's a really creative approach to the traditional sort of program for an event. We're pretty proud of it, and it would be great if you could check it out. Thank you.